Good evening. Welcome to your Ash Hertz News Network. Coming to you live from the tip top of Cock Tower Square with your host, Sergeant Friday. Sarge, how you doing?
Cletus,
Sergeant?
I'm doing good.
Well, that's all right.
Snow White moved in with me.
Snow White moved in with you, huh?
Anyway, yeah, temporarily.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why she keeps asking me to lie, but I'll figure it out.
there you go.
So I learned me a German word today, there, Cletus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is?
constipation.
I thought that was an English word.
Well, no. In German, it's fart from pooping.
Fuck.
Well, my mother was really slow. Took her 9 months to make a joke.
Fuck. That's pretty good.
Man.
That is
So
pretty
look
good.
at I titled it "We Lost the War," and we literally we have lost the war with all these fucking gangs taking over towns and suburbs and apartment buildings. China could build a fucking dam in a fucking week and a fucking rail train station in 3 days, and we're over here fucking giving all our money away to fucking people that hate us. And yeah, it's quite awesome.
When you say we, do you mean the United States in
Yeah,
general,
yeah.
or we as the citizens of the United States?
Well, either way you look at it, we lost. We've already lost the war. We just don't really want to see. We won't accept it yet. We're like too stupid to see it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't think the citizens really lost the war because we didn't fight.
Sure, we did.
Okay.
Sure, we did. We lost control of the country. What do you mean we didn't lose the war? Who's in charge of this country?
Well, I understand, but what I'm ultimately saying is there was no war because we never fucking fought. We sat and
Well,
bitched
sure it
amongst
was.
ourselves and really
No, but
didn't do it.
you're looking at war through only one lens, right? You're looking through war as like a battle on a battlefield. You're seeing it through that lens.
No, I'm just saying, in figuratively speaking, we didn't fight, we didn't push back, we haven't done anything other than bitch amongst ourselves. We haven't taken any action to stop anything, is what I'm ultimately getting at. Right? We've
Right.
all
That's,
become
that's exactly
complacent.
that's exactly the reaction that caused us to lose the war. You see, you're right. Your
Yeah,
observation is absolutely accurate, but that's exactly why we lost the war. We've done nothing.
yeah.
We sit here and feign outrage and are complaining and whatever. And in the end, the truth of the issue is that we didn't. They you can't defeat us militarily, but you certainly to defeat us on the fucking battlefield of politics and on the battlefield of who controls the country. It certainly isn't the American people, right?
Yeah.
So whoever these unknown invaders are, they've got control of your government, the people that work within the government, and that's a victory that's probably even more damning than uh, than if we would have lost on the battlefield. As far as I can see, I mean, they've robbed us of all our fortunes. Our grandkids and their kids are already on the hook for trillions of dollars that'll never be paid back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking tragic, bro.
Well, we've decided to bend over and take it. I mean, that's the only thing I can say about it. Is as a society, we just said, okay, well, we'll just sit here and bitch about it, and eventually, if we bitch long enough, they'll get it together.
Well,
But what we missed was that the only things we're bitching about are the things they're telling us to bitch about instead of what's right in front of our faces.
right. Carl's trying to publicly masturbate, but he just doesn't have the persona to come out and make statements like that have any effect on anybody,
I didn't
right?
see. Hey, jerk off. Yeah.
Struggle as he might, struggle as he will, he just
Uh,
he just ain't gonna cut it. Poor Carl.
Either Carl is from the north or you've rubbed off on him because that absolutely sounds like something you would say. Yeah, a bunch of fucking jerk offs.
You bunch of fucking twiddling fucking jerk offs or
There you go.
feckless cunt.
Yeah.
Here's something. Let me present this. I'll give you an example. Here's one way the war is lost. Right, it's not there. It's not there. It's here. Okay. Let's see here. Here we go.
Is fake. And all of this is coming from Chinese phone farms. So the people that you're arguing online with about different things such as politics and city rules, well, it's all fake. And it's probably just a robot. These phone farms usually have tens of thousands of phones that are connected to one computer that's controlling all of them. The way it works is that the people who run this typically take the batteries out of all these phones and then connect all the motherboards together in order to monitor it on one computer. And then with the use of AI, they're able to generate responses across social media, making it seem like they're coming from a real person when in fact it's just one big computer. I don't think you guys understand how sophisticated this actually is, because each phone represents one person, but yet it's all connected to one computer that literally controls all of them. 1/3 of all internet.
I've been trying to tell the true crime streamers that that's exactly what happens, more so in politics, but it happens everywhere on the internet, that you're not really, when someone comes in here to spam us,
Yep.
or attack us or troll us, that's not a real person in most cases. That's an algorithm being run from a bot farm like that.
Yeah.
It's not really a fucking human being. And sometimes it is, but typically it's not.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing.
you're really arguing back and forth with something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are unaware of that.
That artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. Who the hell is that?
What?
Can't be Taylor Swift. What
What
the
are you
fuck
talking
is this? Wow.
What are you
I have
talking
no
about?
idea what this is, bro. But I'm going to stream it. Because you know what? Fake information is what you fucking people love. So, yeah, take this for what it's worth. Screen share. Can you see that image?
Yeah.
All right. Pardon me.
That's fucking funny. I think you're muted, Sarge.
Oh, yeah, I am muted. Yeah, they did some shit right there.
That's fucking hilarious.
My understanding is she hates Trump, but she's hooked up with that football player who, who knows where he stands, these fucking people.
Yeah.
Right about the fucking. Do you know that there's in the, I forget where it is, but the Mediterranean there, which is obviously connected to the greater fucking network of oceans, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you know that there's fucking bathhouses that are the water that the Romans built 3,000 years ago that are still usable today? That's how much ocean levels have changed in 3,000 years. What the fuck kind of? What I mean, we've been conquered by the bullshit.
But quit driving your fucking gas burning cars. You're gonna kill us all.
We're all gonna die.
We're all gonna fucking die.
Yeah. What's the point of the phone farm? To be annoying? No, the phone farm. Yeah, it's not just to be annoying. It's to actually fucking block and break up conversations and just cause chaos. General, right?
Yeah.
It'd be like being at a fucking football game and someone jumps in there and wants to talk about fucking something that's not related to what you're engaged in. You're watching football. You don't want to be talking about the fucking how to cook a fucking casserole.
If you've got an enemy that likes to bash their head against shit, instead of fighting them, you stick a brick wall in front of them and watch them go to town, right? I mean, that's essentially the fucking point. I can distract you all with your fucking selves.
Girl, I've been saying that since 2020. Have I ever considered Trump as just a player in the game? I've been saying that since 2020.
Yeah.
He's helped turn us all into victims, and we're just sitting in our chair waiting for someone to fucking rescue us. And that to me has always been And I said that even before 2020, that he was either with us or against us. And then when all that COVID shit came out and the way the election went down, right?
Mhm.
There you are. So I hope maybe he's had a change of heart because he just dodged the bullet literally. And he goes in there and does the one thing I always said that he never did was he never drained the swamp. To me, that was more important than building a wall. Get rid of all these corrupt fucking people in these agencies that control all kinds of not just money, but all relevant data and information on all of us. That shit needs to be fucking stopped and deleted. And
Yeah.
here we are, the fucking American people that are supposed to govern our own nation with our fucking head up our ass. And if it doesn't fit because there's something else in the way, then you're blowing bubbles on your own ass cheek, bubbly waters. You get Tommy fucking Jude's ass head up your fucking ass, which is, kind of complicated because it started out in his ass to begin with, and I think it still resides there.
Yeah.
Isn't there a way to block an unmanned phone as spam? No, there's not. They have actual user accounts. They actually have fucking followers. They have. I mean, this was a big problem on Twitter, and I suspect it still may be, but on YouTube it definitely exists in force.
Yeah, it 100% does. Like I said, it wasn't a month ago. I actually encountered it, like 100%. It was I witnessed it happen.
Well,
It was
those
pretty interesting.
evangelical people there, Carl, also thought Washington was the second coming of Christ and Abraham Lincoln, and I wouldn't really get too concerned about their view on things. But if Trump does stay true to his word, and Trump is not part of the cabal that's just kept us in our seat like this, and he does the things that he's saying he's going to do, then we have it that maybe. But the one thing that always disturbs me from him and all the other people that we're surrounded by, all these talking heads like the Bonginos and the Rogans and all of those cuckolds, is that none of them are pushing a solution that would benefit the entire nation, regardless of who your political or religious fucking views might be.
Yeah.
We had 151 views in here last night. And look, I know I'm a fucking dick. There's no doubt about it when it comes to dealing with these topics amongst people. I get it. I ain't gonna change. That's just who the fuck I am. I'm gonna put on a fucking fairy fucking suit and prance around like I'm a fucking sweet fucking cuddly guy. Go fuck yourself. Puts a gun to my head and says support Kamala. I'm going to tell you, support Kamala. I wouldn't fuck her with your dick. Pull the trigger, nigger. I ain't having it. Right? Which would you rather watch? Would you rather watch the fucking grass grow or a Negro? You let me know.
I would just say, well, you can fucking get it over quicker this way, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Because if that's the fucking option, I mean, I'm not much of a walker anymore, and Mexico's a long fucking way away. So
there's no doubt Trump did things that were good for the country, but he also turned us back over to the deep state when he fucking turned Fauci and let Fauci run the fucking planned fucking demic, right?
Yeah.
He also knew in 2018, because of a Department of Justice investigation about ballot harvesting that were being done by the opposing party, and how they were having illegal people vote, and how they were paying people in senior homes and senior living in them fucking to sign these fucking voting certificates, and they're voting for this particular person and paying them. They also knew that was that. And what did Trump do to stop that for the 2020 election? He did nothing, man. So, I mean, there's an argument to be made both ways. Sadly, time will tell, but I am to the point where, time may have ran out on us, folks.
Well, I kind of wonder if it's a situation, right? Either he is just a player in the game, or it is possible that he's a businessman that got into politics and landed the top fucking seat and wasn't quite prepared for what he walked into. You know what I mean? Like, maybe.
Well, there's a possibility that's accurate. I mean, that's one explanation, but does it fit all the little jinx in his armor? I don't know.
Well, if he wins the next 4 years, we'll tell, in my opinion. That's
Right.
just the way I see it, right? If he does what somebody that everybody sees him as, if he acts in accordance with that, then I could give him credit and say that, you know, he got in over his fucking head and did the best he could, and put his, you know, let fucking idiots control the actions in situations where he didn't really know what to fucking do. I don't know.
And you know, the Constitution, the way it's arranged, like what's happening in Denver, Colorado with the Venezuelans, is that's the whole reason you're supposed to have militias. Because if the government's not going to step in and stop it, then it's up to the citizens to step in and stop it.
Yeah.
And the citizen is the government, and we are the government. We are the ones that gave the authority, and we can remove that authority. You don't need to do it with a vote. That's why they give you the right to own a gun. You see? Because the gun is mightier than the pen, no matter what the fuck they've conned you to believe. Right? The pen is mightier than the sword. No, motherfucker, come here. Come here with your pen. Let me show you a trick. Right?
Yeah.
The pen is not mightier than the sword. Just like the currency that you use. You know, everybody thinks, oh, we should be on the gold standard. It still requires a belief in value of a fucking object.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
There's no in the universe of universes, gold holds no value except in your perception of it. There's metals that are much, much more precious than gold and worth way more than gold. Why don't you base your currency off of that? What's the difference if it's a piece of paper that comes backed by your fucking ability to continue to work, earn, and pay taxes? That's what the dollar bill is actually based more off of reality, believe it or not, than fucking gold. And that's why, you know, at one time you go around the globe and everybody that had money that they were squirreling away dollar bills. In Africa and South America, anywhere, third world countries, they get their hand on American currency. Boy, they were burying that shit for the hope of one day that they would have freedom. And we're supposed to lead that charge. Freedom. And what is freedom? It's freedom of government. It's freedom from rule, freedom from government. That's what you get here. And we've kind of surrendered to that. We've given the government all this power. We don't rein them in. And then we let ourselves be conned. And I don't even know what they would call it years ago. Bushwhacked or something. I don't know the fucking term.
Swindled. Swindled.
Yeah.
Yep. Swindled into submission.
Stop with the universe nonsense. Well, you live in a universe there, Carl. Maybe you don't. Maybe your universe is a little bit of your fucking bathroom and your kitchen, and that's it. That's the whole fucking, I don't know, circle of your universe. Anyway.
Well, his universe isn't a circle. It's fucking flat, Sarge. Come on.
Right. This is fun.
It's got a firmament dome over it.
What up, Nene? The last girl I was just actually involved with, her name was Renee. Not Renee, but Renee. N-E-A. Not N-E-E. Renee. Renee. Yeah. So I you know, it is what it is there, Cletus. We live in a very, very strange time. If he gets in office day one, he should start removing the director of the CIA, remove the director of Homeland Security, remove the director of, and not let their subordinate move up, but pick somebody from within the ranks to move into that position.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Bring in people from military intelligence and from the military fucking legal firms, the JAG offices, whatever the fuck they got. Bring that guy into the Department of Justice.
And then
and seriously and honestly, strip these fucking agencies of the people that run them.
And then take Zuckerberg and everybody that he colluded with and trade them to the country that hates them the most for prisoners, American prisoners.
I wouldn't do that, man. I'd put them in fucking jail and make them read every email from every angry American that wants to send it to them. The traitorous son of a bitch. And the same thing, how about that guy from Twitter that was running that fucking guy that looked like he was on acid all the fucking time? What was his name?
Fuck.
Didn't know how to use a fucking razor. Couldn't even trim his beard. Jack Dorsey, that mother.
Jack Dorsey, yeah, that's right.
That guy needs to be in prison too.
Yeah.
Not only that, the people that were there that were dealing with these agents and going along with it.
Yeah.
Right. Zuckerberg admits on video that he told his own employees to not take the fucking shot. He told his people not to take the RNA vax because it connects to your DNA and tries to trick your DNA into producing an antibody to fight the fucking infection, which was, and concept great, but because it was an RNA type of medicine, he was telling his own people, don't take it because we don't know if there's going to be consequences down the road with it. because of how it works. It works like no other type of drug that you've been sticking in your body. And aspirin does not attach itself and alter your DNA. Okay. Nor does penicillin, amoxicillin, or these other drugs that are out there. This he's telling his own fucking workforce not to take the drug. Meanwhile, he's helping put people in jail and get people lose their fucking jobs by posting all the government propaganda and censorship. That if you don't take it, you lose your job. You need to be vaccinated. You can't go to college. You can't work at a fucking grocery store. Right?
Yeah.
That dude needs to be imprisoned in a glass fucking prison that's on tour in a fucking armored bus. Right? With bulletproof glass. Guy wants to show him what it means to live in a glass house, you motherfucker.
You know, probably one of the only social victories I can think of that I've seen in the past several years was during that time. A company came and told its employees that they were all they were seriously pushing and really pushing the thought that, and they were gaslighting everybody, making them believe that they were going to force everybody to take the shot. And my understanding is somewhere between 65 and 75% of the employees had told their direct managers that they could go fuck themselves. They weren't going to do it. And I was like, and it wasn't, but like a week later, that company dropped every fucking ounce of push for that shit, and not a word of it was ever said again. And I'm like,
you got the right to choose to kill a baby in the womb, right? At that point.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the right not to fucking take a medicine that you guys said was going to help me. I didn't have the right to make the choice not to do that.
Right.
What fucking kind of chaos is that?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I used to wear that thing on the fucking head and call them I was Jewish. That's my beanie. I'm religious, man. That's my Jewish fucking yarmulke. Move on. I ain't putting that shit on. I'm not walking. And again, that was the most evil part of the pandemic, because the only way to get herd immunity is to interact with everybody else's DNA. Yeah. To breathe it, to touch it, to swallow it, which you're doing all fucking day, whether you like it or not. And then they made you stay away from each other, and oh my God. Herd immunity can only spread through interaction. You got to ask yourself, how could that interaction make any difference? And it is because you're shedding fucking particles that contain DNA. You're shedding information that other human beings and other biological entities pick up with. That's how do you think you spread fucking illnesses? I know a lot of them are airborne and everything else, but good God.
Well, one of the things that I always wondered about that when they were going through, the lockdowns was the conversation about herd immunity and how it wouldn't work and all this shit. And I'm sitting here thinking, but essentially all viruses do the same thing. They all fucking mutate. So even though it may not be the vid, there are a ton of other viruses out there that have mutated since you locked everybody down. The herd immunity to those is essentially gone to some degree because you won't let people let people around each other. So as soon as everybody gets back around each other, the fucking rate of sickness is going to go through the damn roof because nobody's got any natural immunity to fucking anything.
Right. That's why when you're a child, you get sick a lot. And that's just your immune system adapting to the environment that it now resides in.
Yeah.
It came out of your mama's belly, even though it took her sucking 9 months to make the joke we've all become. And here you are. And let me see here. So someone asked, what's the October surprise? I just think it's going to be Biden steps down. What else are you going to expose about Trump? I don't know what other story? He's racist. How many fucking times can you say that for how many years before people are exhausted with it?
Right. So you really think Biden's going to step down and Kamala's going to be the sitting president prior to the election?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. He's either going to step down or he's going to die. Or he's going to have a fucking stroke or a seizure and have to be, the 25th Amendment is going to have to be removed. He's either going to do it willingly or they're going to get him out of there.
I'm going to find somewhere where I can place a fucking bet on that. And I'm going to bet on you, Sarge.
I would too, because I'm generally fucking right more than I'm wrong by far.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, bro. I'm the fucking, yeah. fucking miserable prick, fucking. But I'm smart. I do see. It's imagine being. I don't even know, man. And sometimes I feel like even when I'm hanging out with other people, friends and stuff like that, it's like sometimes it really sucks being the smartest guy in the room because you just got to keep your fucking mouth shut. And some of the things you hear, it just beckons you to fucking stand up and say, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yes. Sometimes you wonder about that saying of it's if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I've wondered at times, like, well, if that's the case, then what the fuck do you do inside of a ball? You can't. There's no fucking doors, so how do you find another one?
Well, I do spend a lot of time. I engage with workers and different people associated with the business, people in cars, but I keep everything kind of at arm's distance. Like I do, one of the reasons why I don't have like a steady relationship.
Why is that?
Because I don't really want to be. I don't want to be responsible or have to accept your issues and shortcomings, and I've got to deal with them.
Yeah,
I just am not down with that. And I don't think I've ever been. I think that's been one of the, I mean, I don't normally vocalize that, but I think that's one of the issues I have with it. I'd rather be, bouncing around or even be single at times, even if that requires me engaging the services of a professional one-armed masseuse. Okay.
well, I mean, it keeps you, able to use your superpower of telling people to go fuck themselves. Literally
Right.
anybody and everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong. That's a hell of a superpower, to be very honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, it
She's
almost became the name of this news network, if I recall.
thinking.
That was one of the options we were debating
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, News Network. But I honestly think that we've already lost the war, and that unless somebody that's supposed to that has the capacity to move people forward in a good, positive direction, if that doesn't emerge, and you're all going to just depend on Trump, then you've surrendered to a government power. We literally live in the age of we've surrendered to government control.
Well,
And
I
the
think
fact that your government has been taken over by crime cartels, sex cartels, arms dealers, and big fucking multinational foreign run corporations, that's who your government is. And we've surrendered to them.
I think, the trick is going to be if he truly wants to move things in a positive direction, he's going to have to really get focus on the generation that's coming up, right? The generation that's in their 20s or so, and make sure that they see that we are the ones that are supposed to be in control of things. Because I mean, you're not going to change a lot of people in their 40s and 50s and beyond. They're already pretty much set in their fucking ways.
Right.
But if you address the younger generation and make them realize and see the power that they have as Americans in America, then, maybe there's hope.
Well, how about if you hold Fauci and that whole crew accountable? That whole department, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people that led the country down this fucking path, regardless of where it was made or wasn't made, the bottom line is the American government was involved in that. The people that are in the government that had any connection to that at all need to lose their job and their pensions. And damn the union protections. Fuck you. You lose the union protection when you commit a felony against the country you're supposed to be a fucking employee of.
Yeah.
Right? You committed crimes against us. And that goes for many people, politicians included, that go along with this bullshit. Kamala's going to have billions of dollars to run for president. What the fuck? Where the fuck did she get that? And if it were me, I'd be handing it out and putting it in fucking places that could help others. Fuck buying ads. Right? I'd rather lie to the guy to give me the $1 billion so I could go dish it out to people that fucking could actually, right? Here's a course in resumes and here's a fucking suit. Go get a job.
Yeah.
Do something productive with the fucking money. Right? And don't come back unless you got a job. Don't come. You're not going to. And I don't know. We just, for whatever reason, everybody has turned into a bunch of cowards, I guess. If you really want to know, that's my opinion. I mean, thank God. I mean, it's almost like you look back now in time and you think, boy, what a waste of time all them fucking people died for. to give us a country that isn't ruled by a government. And look where we've brought it, to a place where we're ruled by government.
Well, I think when you push a society to get anything they want when they want it based on credit, and then which forces them to aggressively pursue more money, only to spend more based on more credit. Nobody focuses that. Everybody loses the ability to give a fuck about anything except paying those bills. And at the end of the day, that's what a lot of people will not why they won't sacrifice for what's right is because of money. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And
I was talking to my buddy Frank out there in Florida, and I was I get into these little fucking modes of going after people like Joe Rogan. And so he's got a $200 million deal with Spotify. Well, how much money do you need, Joe? Why is your $200 million more important than the fucking sovereignty of the United States and the fucking, the freedom of the citizens around you? Why is someone like that, like Tucker, why aren't they leading the charge?
Yeah.
To bring issues to the forefront and to stay with these issues and to continue to revisit them and try to get people involved to make changes in either the way they live or in how they interact with others, especially when it comes to how you spend your money.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with our monetary system, except the fact that the corruption goes all the way down to the guy at the fucking oil change, all the way up to the fucking president, all the way up to the top CEOs. Right?
Yeah.
That's the failings of not the capitalistic system, but the people within it. We've allowed ourselves to be influenced. We watch these programs. We see all these drug dealers and all these people cheating the system to get rich and fucking rob people and kill people. And you see all the cops breaking the fucking rules and all. And society has become what they've been watching. And the idea, people scoff at the idea, TV doesn't make people kill. Yeah, it does. Video games don't. Yeah, it does. You're a product of your environment, folks. I mean, back in the day, do you think people were running around with Uzis when there was Andy Griffin around? Right?
Yep.
We're a product of the environment that we allow exist around us. And there shouldn't be any police show where the police do anything except follow the fucking letter of the law and lose. Because they can't get the evidence they need to convict. And they have to take the loss because that's the way the system is designed. Innocent until proven guilty, and these rules must be followed to find guilt. And you don't ever really see that on TV now, do you? No. And you don't see it in real life. Matter of fact, you see the exact opposite, and you see more and more crime committed that doesn't even get investigated and it doesn't get solved, like the Gigolo case up here in New Jersey. Right? All these fucking drug dealers. It's like, really? I could solve the drug problem instantly. I would just get in touch with fucking Roundup. And I'd get me some of these aircraft that fucking drop water for fucking fires. And I'd let South America know, excuse me, but at 3:00 on fucking Tuesday, we're going to show up with about 1,600 fucking airplanes. You might want to get out of the fucking mountains. Okay? When we're done, it becomes inert in 24 hours. Inert. The soil will be usable. Plant coffee fucking beans, okay? But if you plant fucking cocoa fucking leaves, we'll be back again with 2,500 fucking plants.
Yeah.
The same thing with Afghanistan. Their poppy fields, goodbye. Well, we need that to make drugs. Then create your own fucking greenhouse in Alaska. How about there? Where nobody can get to it, you stupid motherfuckers. And all your illnesses that Kennedy is bringing out. How come all these crazy alopecia, people's fucking hair falls out? What the fuck is that?
You said, what the fuck is that?
With these fucking diseases. Listen, the pharmaceutical industry is a petrochemical fucking industry. That's what it is. I don't want oil that we use to create energy and lubricate machinery to be banned. I want the petrochemicals out of fucking healthcare. That's what I want. Where's the argument? I mean, that makes more sense than any. You want to cut down the fucking help the environment? Okay? Then get rid of petrochemical fucking medicines. And start dealing with natural fucking medicines that grow right from the earth. Snake venom is a fucking medicine. You know that, right?
Yep.
Spider venom, all kinds of different shit, folks. Spend your time investigating that and stop making the fucking all these petrochemical fucking things. And then you got diseases you can't even really say. You can't even name the disease. And they're crazy fucking. Look at Parkinson's disease. What was there, one case before fucking 1950? Now it's all over the place. This thing where you lose your mind. What is it at the end? Of your
Dementia. Dementia.
Dementia.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And these are all, look at, self-inflicted upon us by these corporations that spend more time worrying about profits than they do about product and results. Right? And look at all these warnings. That's what bothers me. Could cause infection of the perineum. Leave my taint the fuck out of it, bro. I didn't come here to die because the area between my balls and asshole got infected. That's fucking insane. You get an ass infection and die from taking some of these prescription drugs. The warnings are incredible, bro. It's worse than the fucking disease they're telling you it treats.
Well, and it's not just the drugs, right? It's not just pharmaceuticals. It's also the food. One of the most interesting shows I saw, just fucking eye-opening and mind-blowing at the same time, was I forget the fucking name of it. Of course, it's been a while, but it was about the origin of high fructose corn syrup, and they went through and they showed the data. And I was objective, and as I watched it, and I would pause it and think about the data they're presenting, and I'm like, is this biased, right? And for the most part, it was not. But it showed the link between high fructose corn syrup and so many fucking problems that exist.
Do you know?
And it's like, wow, and the origins of it and why it became a thing. It was very fucking interesting.
Do you know where it was first used?
I don't remember. No.
For feedstock and to put weight on the animals for feed.
Yeah.
So they were mixing their feed with it, and they found out that after a certain amount of time, which originally started around 6 months to a year,
yeah,
these animals were dropping dead of heart attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, we don't live in a perfect world, and things should, but there's really no movement to fix anything. I think Robert F. Kennedy is actually on the bandwagon for that. He's got specific issues, and I think that he's got, like the conversation we're having now about drugs and diseases and health. He's pretty well focused on that. I think he should be part of Trump's administration. He should get full support of the administration to pursue what he's going to pursue. And there's other people like I don't know. I just honestly think that the war is lost, and unless we the people decide to get up and do something on our own, then we're just going to become further and further subjugated.
Well, and I think until we realize that we're probably the biggest problem that we have is we compartmentalize everything without really looking at it as our problems all exist, but for the same reason, right? It's all the shit we consume, whether it be food, whether it be pharmaceuticals, whether it be information. We don't consider the source of any fucking thing. I'll give you an example. I talk all the time about, or make the suggestion a lot. I think people should take 7 days off from the fucking internet, focus on what's important to them in their life, and then come back to it if they choose to, but come back to it with everything they just realized in that 7 days and keep that at the forefront of their mind. The same thing can be said about shit people put in their bodies, right? Clue's been on this no carb diet for a couple of weeks. And what I've noticed just watching her is after about 2 days, her fucking energy level, all kinds of things changed with her. And the days that she will slip and consume shit that's, over processed and shit like that, you can tell it immediately. Right? She's consuming shit without thinking about what's in it or what she's consuming. Right? Just like we all do with the fucking internet. We all run to these fucking to everything from Joe Rogan to fucking Tommy Jew, and we just consume what the fuck is there without ever considering what the fuck it is that we're putting into us and what it's doing to us.
Yeah. I said in there earlier, someone said alcohol is legal. Weed isn't. Alcohol kills a heck of a lot of people legally, but man would be extinct if not for alcohol. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because of the water conditions. Man never would have advanced without alcohol. Alcohol was actually, and it was served to children too, back especially during the Dark Ages and stuff. The water was so bad, and there was so much bacteria and poisons in it, like the Black Plague and all these other fucking huge problems they had. Alcohol was one way to not just store water in liquids that could sustain you, but to keep it from being fucking full of bacteria that could kill you. And if there was bacteria in the water, it would kill it.
Yeah.
And that was one of the, whether they knew it or not, alcohol it played a big role in a man advancing and staying around long enough to advance. Such situation. Clue got him addicted to the Seth situation. Well,
yeah,
Carl, I guess that's kind of like being addicted to the flat Earth. It doesn't surprise me at all. Cletus?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's another one of those things, right? Sarge and I were having a little side conversation before we started talking about that whole situation, and we talk about it a little bit every night before the show. And at the end of the day, I think ultimately that's a great example of what I'm talking about. I think a lot of people got into the Sebastian case because there's a missing kid. And there's a lot of people covering it, and they want to see they want to see him come home. A lot of people want to help. A lot of people attempt to help, but at the end of the day, we all started consuming the Seth situation,
Right.
and it's doing absolutely fucking nothing. Right? There's still a 15-year-old missing kid that has nothing to do with the Seth situation, but we're all fucking consuming the shit out of it every fucking day because we're so fucking addicted to it. We're afraid to look the other fucking way for 5 minutes because we might miss some entertainment. And I mean that's the fucking hard reality of it.
Same thing with the Idaho 4.
I accept, that I'm right there too. Like I know I am.
It's very alluring to be part of a big group and to have a topic that you're all interested in. There's an addictive process to that. And you become, it's just human, we all want to be a part of something. And so even if we don't really subscribe or agree 100% with what we're a part of, we go along with it, right?
Yeah.
And we find our entertainment, or we find to burn up time that we have. And I'm not going to remind people time is a precious thing, but the Idaho 4 is the exact same way. And I don't really, at this point, I don't give a rat's fuck who killed those kids. It doesn't affect my life one way or the other, except what is the government doing to litigate this case? That really affects our lives. That's what we're supposed to be paying attention to. Now, I'm not, heartless not to realize the tragedy and the pain and the suffering that the people went through and that their family and friends are going through. I get it, but it doesn't affect me.
Well, and you're focusing on the government aspect, whose job it is to fucking bring justice to that situation for those families and the victims.
Right. And it's the process under which the government does its job that's interesting to me, because that affects me.
Yeah.
And it's funny that other people don't want it. Like I was listening to some of that Gitta guy. His name isn't that anymore. I think he's like, I don't know, some fucking different name. But he goes on, I don't care what he says. There's got to be a hearing where if the probable cause affidavit that was authorized to charge this kid is invalid because the accusations aren't supportable, then the case needs to be thrown out, and every piece of evidence collected from that point forward needs to be inadmissible, because that's a serious fuck up. Don't accuse me of killing somebody in a 7-Eleven, right? And stick me in fucking jail for 2 years and argue all the 7-Eleven shit, only to find out I killed him at fucking Arby's on a different time and a different date from a different vehicle. Your investigation, you led yourself there by lying. Everything they say about this kid is a lie. And so, therefore, as far as I'm concerned, that disqualifies him from being prosecuted. That's, you know, whether he did it or not is not relevant to me. I don't see any significance in the actuality of whether he did it or not. It just seems ignorant to me to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Sebastian. I mean, the parents are just not relevant to me unless, and of course they had a hand in this disappearance, and then they become extremely relevant. But to make all of these assumptions and place all of these ideas and explore them is like, what the fuck is that got to do with the missing kid? What is, you know, all of these theories like these bubblies and these Tommies? What is that fucking proving? Nothing. It can't prove. It's insanity. Literally, it's insane to see what a lot of these streamers are doing. Right, and I get caught up in that too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not immune to it, but maybe I'm just more sensitive to see it.
Well, and you know, one of the things I've realized is just like you said, right? It has no relevance, but I think a lot of people get what they call a gut feeling, right? What they think is a gut feeling, and it's just fucking gas, right? But they'll get that.
Yeah.
They'll take something and keep gnawing on it, trying to make it, whether they realize it or not, trying to make it the answer to the situation. You know what I mean? And then you get characters, you know, like fucking spokesman for a father of a missing kid that come in and push that, right? And nobody will see that. They just, all they know is they're getting fucking fed the info that feeds their wackadoodle fucking theories that absolutely will move this case forward not one fucking inch.
Yeah. None of it moves the case forward. And, you know, there was somebody, I forget whose stream they were on, you know, talking about an autistic teen and all of that. Maybe it was 12 gauge, 11 minus 1 or 11 plus 1, whatever he is. And there's some relevant, he does bring in angles of conversation that are interesting as far as investigation and as far as, and that stuff, I think, if you're interested in knowing, you know, the impact of getting stabbed, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the upper chest next to your arm and shoulder, and the fact that you literally will lose control of that arm and different things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
Where you see on TV people still fighting with a fucking big stab wound in their chest. Well, no. He does come up with some very, you know, pertinent stuff that's good to know. But and he tries to stay away from the innocence or guilt. I don't know how successful he is at doing that, because that's what's driving everybody. And everybody has this desire for innocence or guilt. And I understand that, of course, there's an accusation of 4 murdered kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know who did it, but you're never going to know who did it if the people investigating it are the fucking idiots that are investigating it.
Yeah.
They're making accusations. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
You know, show me the money. Show us these videos, these images that identify Kohberger in a vehicle or his vehicle conclusively. And that these videos were obtained through the process of investigation that led you to identify this guy. Great. They can't even do that. Matter of fact, they keep pointing out that the shit that's in the PCA is just not valid. We were supposed to have all kinds of other cell phone data, but they didn't have it when they decided that Kohberger was here, there, and everywhere. They didn't get it till March of the following fucking year. Well, at that point, they should have then used the information that they didn't have to go back to see if their original analysis was even close to accurate. And if it wasn't, they should have let the kid go. Right?
Yeah.
And these people are able to hide everything they do. It's just a crazy system. But again, we have succumbed to government controlling us. And we've surrendered the whole fucking reason this country exists, and that the government is the people, not the idiots that represent you. And that's why I say, when you look at these legal cases, that's what you're supposed to pay attention to first and foremost. You look at the Karen Reed trial. The cop is lying on the stand right to the jury's face. And then because of the 5.62 billion fucking morons that are attacking the social media, which includes all of those jurors, I guarantee it, they were gonna call her guilty on unintentional manslaughter, on the idea that she backed into his arm, and that killed the man. Get man, I will fucking stomp you to death, you dumb motherfuckers.
You're going extremely fucking robotic, Sarge.
Oh, am I? That's probably the bot farms trying to get even with me. Uh-oh. Cletus drops. He's back. Cletus, what happened? Hello?
You got to put me up on stage.
I did.
Oh, hell! It says I'm backstage on my fucking phone.
Well, yeah, there's something wrong with StreamYard.
Yeah, that was crazy.
See.
That's up fucking wild. It literally says I'm backstage.
Can I tell you what happens with DNA, Carl? I'm going to give you an example of what happens with DNA. When you get a paternity test, if I'm not mistaken, I wish I'd have kept that paperwork, but it's been so long that it would fucking anyway. Let's just go with this. I'll make it simple. They take a sample of the child's DNA, and there's 13 markers in that DNA, okay, that are compatible with everybody on Earth, but to different levels. And so they start counting the markers that you, the male, have that also this baby has. And the more markers you have, the more likely you are to be the parent or the father. And in many states, like New York, where I live, you only need like 90% of the markers to match and they'll label you the father. But the difference between 90% and 100% is crazy. It's huge. And it does not mean you're the father. What a DNA analysis is a statistical analysis based on interpretation of the fucking person doing it. It is not the equivalent of a fingerprint. A fingerprint cannot be mistaken. DNA can. And you all watch these fucking stupid fucking shows that have taught you all these years how fucking conclusive DNA is. And it's not. It is not. So let's say that they had that fucking tiny small piece of fucking DNA from that sheath, right? And I am telling you that all of us would have markers from that fucking sample. Yeah. Many of us less. Because we're all human fucking beings. And it becomes a statistical analysis. And then it becomes a research analysis based on going into the different genealogical databases. And DNA is not conclusive evidence, folks. Unless what you're taking, you take a swab of me and you take a sample of my blood and you test those two, and those markers should all match. But what they say in the Kohberger case, when you read their determination, is that if you were to take any random citizen or any random person to match this DNA, it's 5.36 octillion fucking to 1 that it's going to be Kohberger. If you just pick some random person in society and compare their markers to what they claim they have, it's all statistics. That's where you come up with 5.36 octillion. That's a statistical number based on an analysis and a decision made by a researcher. It is not fingerprint data, as you've been taught on all these CSI fucking shows. Just crazy.
But it's a lot easier than actually doing fucking police work and writing a cohesive PCA, isn't it?
Unfucking believable. But again, the DNA wasn't used to arrest Brian Kohberger in as much as it was used to get the warrant in Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken, to get him arrested in Pennsylvania and get him out of there.
Yeah.
But in the warrant, the probable cause affidavit from Idaho, I do not believe that any of the DNA was used to obtain that warrant.
Yeah.
That warrant was issued prior to the actual sample being confirmed that it was Brian's. But what I don't know, man. Plus, you got 100 suspects. You got all these names. You got all these people. How the fuck did you know to go look for a fucking Kohberger? That's the other thing that drives me crazy with the DNA. How is it that you found his great uncle had the same markers as the sample that you supposedly had? A sample that was only enough to do what the police did to check in CODIS, right? How the fuck did you amplify that to the point where you supposedly could identify his genealogical background? I just find this to be perplexing, and that the sample you have was not a full sample of Brian Kohlberger's that I sent. Like I sent mine in, and then they could go and do a fucking analysis of my cheek swab, right?
Yeah.
That's not what they did here. They took fucking transfer DNA, which they fully admit to, and then they sent it to a lab that specializes in with black box software to fucking amplify the sample. And what sample could have been left after they processed it to compare it in CODIS? There's so many unknowns in what they've done, and there is room for error, intentional or honest, in a statistical analysis. Right? You either believe the analysis or you don't. And the problem with us as people is these cop shows that everybody gets they're so entertained with have helped brainwash us over the years. You know, on all kinds of cop shows. I watched some from Britain, and the cops are always going into places they shouldn't be going, sneaking into apartments, opening doors they shouldn't be opening. Come on, what the fuck are we? That should not be part of your TV entertainment. Because in real life, that's exactly what we see happening.
At the end of the day, one of the most interesting things I think about the Idaho 4 case is the fact that the prosecution said they don't plan to use the IgG in the trial. Well, every fucking thing you have claimed in the PCA has had a fucking hole the size of a nuclear fucking explosion shot into it. So if you're not even going to use that, then why don't you just fucking, withdraw? Like that's the thing I don't fucking get. And I find it funny that we all sit around and talk still about the DNA. And it's like, look, if they say they're not going to fucking use it, and I mean, as it pertains to this case in itself, right? If they say they're not going to use it, then there's really no point in discussing it in terms of it being relevant to the Kohlberger case, because if they're not going to fucking use it, there is no case. There's not even a case with it.
Here's my problem with what they're doing is that I understand that they're going to use the actual DNA comparison in court and not the IgG, but
they're
the
not going
question
to show.
needs to be asked. Here's the question I would want to have answered as an attorney. Did you not say that the person's DNA you got from the trash showed him to be the genealogical father of the fucking DNA on that sheath, right?
Right.
So isn't that still using the genealogical work to make the determination that this guy's the father? Aren't you basing that comparison off genealogical work?
That's right.
Right? Because you still didn't have Brian Kohlberger's DNA at that point. So I think it's rather confusing, and maybe it's intentionally done that way. And it, we'll see what happens. The kid probably is going to be convicted.
I personally don't think it was done intentionally to be confusing. I mean, from what we can look at with what's been provided, I don't think they had any fucking idea how to do this properly, and that's why it looks all so fucking confusing. It wasn't intentional. It was just how it is. Like, because if you were going to intentionally try to confuse, you would do a hell of a lot better job than what they did, I feel like.
Well, like they did with that other guy where they accused him of killing a competitor chiropractor, right?
Uh-huh.
They did the same thing there. They destroyed the evidence. They destroyed the crime scene, not by knocking it down, but by taking things out of there or rearranging it, not documenting it, can't find the fucking photographs. Essentially the same thing as ripping down a house, right?
Yeah.
Those people are involved in this case. So look at these people shouldn't even have a fucking job after what they did with that doctor. And here they are showing up in the fucking Kohlberger case.
Yeah.
And all of the nonsense, people point out, they tore the house down. But the issue is that if all of your fucking allegations that he was here, there, and everywhere are unfounded, you let the public believe for a year that this kid was stalking them fucking people when you knew the whole time. You knew conclusively the whole time that the areas that he was driving in had nothing to do with that fucking house. And when you come out and you say, and this is another damning thing, and I wish I could sit down and fucking talk to Ann. Here's a fucking very damning statement. When you say that on the night of the murders, okay, he took the same and similar fucking trips that he took 12 previous times. That automatically excludes him from being at the house. Do you follow my reasoning?
Yeah.
Completely excludes that he was at the house. You yourself are his fucking his alibi.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, and you fucking admitted that the 12 previous trips had nothing to do with him stalking the victims. So how, if he took the 13th trip consistent with the previous 12, does that mean he was at the house killing him? It can't.
Right.
Because the other 12 trips show he had no contact with the house or the people in it for 12 fucking trips. What makes the 13th one unique? It can't be. Because you told me it was the same as the last fucking 12, the 13th trip.
That's why I say, like, I can't see confusion creation as the tactic here, because it's just, I just can't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I
These
just
people
can't.
really listen. It's like everybody on social media that runs to these guys like that drip drop motherfucker. Like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Yeah, sure. And that's, Steve is lying. That's not true. Ann Taylor filed a fucking in response, and she filed motions that there's no connection between Brian Koberger, electronically or otherwise. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Whoever told Steve that told Steve something to keep. Look at. They're lying to the parents, because now, what do these poor parents have to hang their hat on for hope? They're hoping, and they're convincing themselves. There's just like we do to ourselves every fucking day that Trump is going to fix the country. No, that's not going to happen, folks. Only we can do that. And the same situation exists in a lot of these criminal cases and a lot of these political problems, where we ourselves don't stand up to be a voice and getting to the truth. That's what matters. The truth doesn't stand a fucking chance in our society nowadays. And I find it's just disgusting how we address this stuff by not addressing anything. The case could have changed a venue. I don't know if it did or not. No, I don't think Steve is lying. I think someone told Steve that. And look, at these people are like that Helsinki syndrome. Can you imagine being a parent? If you don't think Koberger did it by now, nothing's going to convince you as a parent. But just imagine being the parent of a child that was killed that way. Your only means of understanding what happened to your child is through the fucking system that's there, and that system is the most ignorant, corrupt fucking system in the world. And you end up having to join with the prosecutor because you want justice to be served. You want retribution. You want the person that did this, or the people that did this, to be held to account. And because the state is only showing you this outcome, you yourself become convinced that this is the right outcome. We've all had that happen, but it's even worse when you're like dependent on this prosecutor to know what he's doing and tell the truth. And I don't know, the judge is now thinking about it. Change of venue. The judge shouldn't even be thinking about it. The judge should be stopping the prosecution from continuing this case. He should be putting an end to it, because they have made a case that's untenable, it's unverifiable. And the idea that even if you got his DNA, the way you got your hands on that is fruit from a poison tree. And until somebody can show me that the PCA is accurate, that the PCA is a depiction of his movements, and that those movements are consistent with somebody that was going to enter that home or did enter that home and commit that crime, then I don't think the DNA should have any room in any way to be allowed into this trial, or even into this case. I've been waiting for weeks, and then I forgot. What did she say? The judge is now thinking about it. I think Steve is involved with the unalivings. No, I don't think that's it. I mean, that going down that trail doesn't help anything either. That's no different than Steve saying he was connected to the Wi-Fi. You're doing the same thing he's doing, Translucent. I mean, that's not here nor there. And it doesn't advance the focus of where our eyes should be. Our eyes shouldn't be on anything except what the government is putting forward against the defendant. Does what the government show? Was it done properly? Did they follow the constitutional limits? Did they follow the rules? Did they run it by the book? Did they confirm their assessments? Did they get tunnel vision? Or did they realize they may not be right, so they smudged or deleted or hid some evidence to cover up that they might not be right? which we see happen all the time. Those are what we need to be looking at. I really don't want to look at whether Kohlberger did it or not, because there's a trillion ways that he could have, and a trillion ways he couldn't have, right? And so far, I really think that you can make an honest statement and say, based on the allegations against the guy, let's just say Kohlberger did it. One thing I'm pretty sure of is he didn't do it the way the cop said he did it. So I can accept that the guy did it, but not based on the accusations you people are hanging over his head. No. I'd be happier if they said that he parked down the fucking road, or we have no idea how he got to that house or what route he took. Blah, 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 blah. I'd rather have that being said. And then show me a witness, or show me some camera, or show me some other evidence that puts him in the house. Puts him in the house, not miles away or blocks away. Or did you hear Steve went to the ER that morning? Well, none of that's really relevant, though, Translucent. That's what I mean. These are irrelevant side talks. What is the government alleging against Kohlberger is what matters. And is what they're alleging verifiable? And if it's not, why not? I mean, you're in a town where you got a bunch of hillbilly fucking cowboys that don't really know what the fuck they're doing. And they're making accusations. He was here, he was there, he was everywhere. A car shows up on Indian Hill Drives. All of a sudden, they got his car on Indian Hill Drives. Well, at 3:26 a.m. Okay. Well, according to you, the crime didn't start till 4 o'clock. Now you got another Elantra, and that's what I'm saying. There's at least 2 Hyundai Elantras in the cop's story. They admit that. There's 2 Hyundai Elantras in the cop's story. They never came out and said that the vehicle we identified around the crime scene as 11 to 13 Elantra was improperly identified. They've never come out and said that. Never. As a matter of fact, quite the fucking contrary. And so when they tell you that he drives a 14 to 16 and that they identified a 14 to 16 Hyundai Elantra in that area, they're not talking about the car that was around the house and parked. They're talking about a car from a different fucking video, from a different photo in a different location. That was a 14 to 16 Elantra, the photo from somewhere else. And I guarantee you, Kohlberger's going to say, yeah, that was me. Because it probably was. But not the one on Indian Hills Drive. Not the one driving around the house. Nope, that wasn't Kohlberger. And they can't prove it was Kohlberger. And that's a big fucking problem. And so what are you left with? You're left with the DNA. Well, so now you have to ask, how did the government come into the possession of Brian Kohlberger's DNA to test against that sample? That is a legitimate, that's always a question that has to be asked in a criminal proceeding. How did the government obtain the sample from Brian Kohlberger that was then later compared and confirmed to be the sample consistent with what they found on the knife sheet? Well, they did that through a warrant. Now you're in a fucking problem. Was the warrant issued? Was it issued by the merits of a case that led to the conclusion that this guy was involved and that this guy did it? Or was it done like, what are they, fucking Houdini, by some guess? So it's just kind of a mess the way this whole case has been handled. And I give the police the benefit of the doubt and say it was tunnel vision. An Elantra is an Elantra is an Elantra. And they just kind of went that way with it. So it's crazy. It's how they present it to a grand jury, folks. That's what I mean. The whole grand jury needs to be examined. That's why she went after it. It's what he presented to the grand jury. What story did he tell about those 12 previous trips? Did he lead the grand jury to think that those 12 previous trips, in fact, likely showed him surveilling that area? Did he present that to the grand jury? Right? Anyway, it was a good evening. And I lost Cletus. He dropped out of here. I noticed him drop. I didn't say anything, but yeah, he got out. And I think it's time. It's your Ass Hurts News Network from Beijing, China, from atop the Cock Tower with the world-renowned Lick of My Balls Convention Center. You all have a good night, and we'll talk with you again soon.